Hi, my name is Dominique Martinez, and this is my applied assignment for SPE 223. In this presentation, I will go over my pre-work, research, new learning, and continued inquiry. Pre-work. The topic I chose is disability access in the school system. I have chosen this topic because as a future educator, I wish to learn more about my role to support my students best. The aspect of inclusion this covers is helping students reach their potential. For my interview, I interviewed Susanna Martinez, who is an elementary attendance clerk. Susanna works hand in hand with teachers to get students the resources and help they may need. Susanna has 10 plus years of educational experience across different districts and roles. The course materials I chose to use were 2 videos, the first being Los Angeles' schools struggle to integrate special education students. This video shows the way districts are trying to create inclusion in their systems, but it also is seen in this video where we are failing our students. The second video is What is Inclusion? In this video, it is seen where we fall short for our students with disabilities. And it challenges the question of how can we measure how much or how little support and resources does a student need. For my own research, I chose 2 articles, the first being Teaching Exceptional Children. In this article, the IEP process and failures are highlighted, and FAPE, Free Appropriate Public Education, is presented to hold schools accountable. The second article is a brief history of special education. This article covers the history of how our society has reacted and adapted to disabilities in the school system. We see where a lot of the current regulations originated through different court cases. For example, in Brown versus the Board of Topeka, Kansas, the Supreme Court knocked down the separate but equal doctrine, which was the foundation of school segregation based upon race. Disability rights advocates used this premise to argue that disabled students were being excluded from education or were served separately in substandard conditions. And in 1989, in Timothy W. versus Rochester, a court found that a student was wrongly being denied FAPE because the school district considered him too disabled to receive benefit from an education. The ruling in this court reaffirmed the notion that all students had a right to FAPE regardless of the severity of their disability. Interview evidence. Here is a screenshot from my confirmation of our interview meeting. And going into our questions. So the first question that I asked Susanna was, what are the requirements of the attendance clerk role in regards to students with disabilities? The main point she hit on was that they are the face of the office and often support parents when they need support with resources for their students with special needs. My next question was, what other forms of student support does the district provide? She mentioned that they provide a 504 form alongside the IEP resources that help students with long-term illnesses that may cause them to miss school or need additional support. For example, diabetes or asthma. The next question was, what struggles do you face when needing additional support from the district? She mentioned that there is a lack of support from teachers and admin alike when it comes to the amount of paperwork that goes into submitting excused absences, enrolling students, and how much additional work is placed on them when a student needs support or has special needs. The next question is what is the process of requesting assistance for a student with disabilities? First, the teacher or office staff will reach out to administration, who then reach out to IEP to conduct an assessment of the student and decide what support they need. The next question, how do parents react when they are told their students may need additional support? She mentioned that sometimes parents will straight out deny their students need any assistance at all and deny the IEP process altogether. And even when help is acknowledged and IEP processes or provides a resource for them, a lot of them will still deny moving their child or gaining the resources. I then asked, what support can your superiors or district office provide that could support your role with students with disabilities? She mentioned that first, there should be additional training for staff on how to handle escalated situations with students with disabilities, and that there should be additional RSP, resource support personnel, or teacher aides for students. She mentioned that there are currently only one in her school, and that RSP is in charge of helping multiple students. The last question I asked her is, what is the time frame from recognizing a student needs additional support and them getting that support? And she said from the time that they reach out to IEP, they have seen as little as a few months to almost a year and a half of waiting for a decision and approvals. New learning. New learning and equity. Through the court case of Daniel R.R. versus State Board of Education in 1989, the court applied a two-pronged test recognizing the difficulty in determining what the least restrictive environment, or LRE, is for the student to receive an appropriate education. In this case, the fundamental question was, when is it okay to remove a student from an inclusive classroom to a self-contained classroom? The court ascertained that the IEP team must first determine if, with the use of supplemental aids and services, the child can receive an appropriate education in the general education classroom. Through this, we can determine if a student will benefit best in a general education class or if they need to be removed to a special education class. And this is key for a student's success and feeling equal amongst their peers. New learning and inclusion. Two court cases, the Orberti versus Board of Education of the Bureau of Clementon School District, 1993, and in the same year, Sacramento City School District versus Rachel H. In the Oberti court case, they had not made reasonable effort to include a kindergarten student, and in part because they had not applied the same strategies and techniques while he was in a general education classroom that were deemed successful in a special education classroom. And through the Rachel H. court case, her parents requested that she be placed in a general education classroom full-time. The district contended that Rachel could not be best educated in the special education classroom for academic subjects and could be in the general education classroom for non-academic times, requiring Rachel to move back and forth between classrooms. The court found that Rachel would derive more benefit, both academically and non-academically, in the general education classroom without distracting the other students with the assistance of a part-time aide. Through this, observations, students will be evaluated to see how they succeed in a general education class before pulling them into a special education class. This creates an inclusive environment for all students. Access. Through the IEP process, students can gain access to the resources and support they need. IEP programs are helping students gain access to a free education. The provision of of a FAPE was the centerpiece of the law, and a student's IEP was the vehicle by which the content of a FAPE was formulated and delivered. Whether the IEP program at a certain school provides the best resources, nonetheless, they are helping students gain access to free education. Continued inquiry. I would like to further my knowledge when it comes to the faculty training in regards to disabilities. I'll do this by reaching out to school districts, looking at forums circling teacher training, and finding any public training modules that follow the curriculum of helping students with disabilities and familiarizing myself with them. A question for you. How can we ensure students have the support and resources they need in a timely manner? And here are my references. Thanks for joining.